Strength in Leos.
How's it going, everybody? It's Evan back with the Strength in Leos podcast. I hope everyone's having a great day today. We're back with another great episode and brought you guys another awesome guest halfway around the world. Jay from Eco Gecko, welcome to the podcast. How's it going?
All good, mate. Thank you very much for having me on, Evan.
Of course, yeah. I'm glad we were able to get a time that worked for both of us, and the timing's a little tricky, so I'm glad we got that all settled up.
Yeah, it took a week or two, didn't it?
Right, yeah. It's tricky, man. Like, even just trying to get a regular, someone in the States here, but you're, across the pond and
Exactly.
getting that timing ready. So it was worth it, though. I'm super hyped up for the episode today.
Yeah, so am I.
Nice. So, Jay, for people who aren't familiar with your work, and people should be, you're creating amazing geckos, but give them a little bit of background about who you are, some of the things that you're working with, and how you got into breeding leopard geckos.
Right, all right. So I'm Jay. I'm the voice behind Eco Geckos, I guess, for this podcast. I started breeding Leos when I was about 15, I believe. I think that was back in it was around 2015, 2016 I started breeding Leos, and I was set on basically making the best white and the best black Leos ever. That's what kickstarted it all for me when I was young. I initially invested into Black Nights very early, and it just blew up from there. It totally blew up from there. But what I'm kind of steering towards nowadays is outcrossing the pure line into so many other stuff and generally making it healthier and better.
Nice. So with the Black Knights, you're talking about 2015. That's really early on to get into that project. Like, what was that investment like, getting into such a project that was super? They're expensive now, but really getting into that super early market, and then making that investment in wow, how could I get these to breed? What was that like, just going on that journey?
It was, obviously I was very young back then too. So I've been working since I was 13, out of school, my holidays, always worked. I went into my own trade work, and I worked Monday to Saturday, 12 hours a day. And obviously I saved and saved and saved. What initially happened was I was after a female, it was from Ferry, excuse me. And I brought the female. It cost a lot of money, bear in mind. It was a big investment. For someone who's been breeding Leos for a year or two, moving on to the Black Knight was a big step forward.
Right.
It was exciting, but it was always something I wanted to do. So it was going to happen anyway. The sooner the better, I thought. Getting the initial female was very exciting, but I was actually in America at the time. So I was on holiday, and I was speaking to Ferry. And we clocked in the female, and then I went to him, what will it cost me for a male? Obviously, males are double the price and everything. I think it ended up costing another $2,200, so that's about $2,800 US.
Wow.
Yeah, that's just for the male. So what actually happened was he was like, "Yep, sweet." I gave him a deposit, and he sent me the male. I didn't actually pay it in full. He gave me his trust, basically. We got that all paid off. However, the male I paid for was obviously top dollar. He ended up lightening up quite a bit, and I said to Ferry, "Is there any chance I can exchange this? Because I visually want a full black male, obviously for the price I paid." And he was like, "Yep, what we'll do is I've got one male here that might be sold, but if it's not, it will go to you." 2 weeks later, he contacted me and went, "Unfortunately, it's sold. So I'm going to give you my holdback male." That's where everything kind of kicked off. Getting Ferry's holdback male was obviously a huge. It fast forwarded me majorly in the Black Knight scene, I'd say. I got that male, and then I actually got another female too. So altogether, I probably invested about, I think it was well over $5,000 my first trio.
You're just blowing people's minds right now. Wow. And for people who don't know, Ferry's he's a founder, so he's the guy to go to.
Yeah, he's the creator.
For these.
believe he spent 15 years of his life making the Black Knight. Um,
Right.
I I don't know when this comes out, when you're going to put this out, but I don't know if you can snip it or edit it or whatever. But between us at the moment, Ferry gives up in the next couple of months, and his original breed has come to me, and I'm named the successor of the Black Knight line.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's very exciting for myself.
Very exciting. Yeah. And when it comes to the Black Knights and really just continuing to propel it, because I think a lot of people just get like you see that full black gecko
Yeah,
and it just captures your eye. Is that what got you to invest and see this amazing leopard gecko and say like I want this and I want to go ahead and produce these?
it was what it is. I love the solid colours, so I love the solid orange, the solid white, the solid black. That's my kind of go-to on the Leos. Um, Also like grey and pied. So
Mm,
when I was breeding Diablo Blancos for years before I bred the Black Knights, and I was breeding for size on them, but I was also breeding for obviously the whiteness, and I managed to get, I think it was like 110 gram. This is basic, it's a normal, not a normal
right.
Tremper Blizzard, a Blazing Blizzard Diablo Eclipse and that. So Blazing Blizzard Eclipse Tremper, we got to 110, and it was full white, and it was one of my favourite animals all time. Uh,
Wow.
so once I kind of completed it to an extent, because with the Diablo Blanco, I find you can't get him solid white due to the albino. The albino always makes it look a little bit pink.
Got it.
So I couldn't get where I wanted to get to with the DB to an extent. So that was one goal. I kind of didn't stop, but I moved on to the universe, because the universe, when you add the white and yellow into Superstar Eclipse, will wash out all pattern and make a crisp white gecko without the albino.
Got
Uh,
it.
but the solid black animal, that was the goal. That was 100% the goal, all the way. Produce the darkest animals possible. I broke off the Black Knight line kind of with a something I called Void. Void is a it's not my own line, it's nothing like that, it's all Ferry's work 100%. All it was that I was producing these geckos that were patternless, so there was no pattern, they were truly black. And they seemed to, like, in dim light or anything, they seemed to suck in all the light. It was like looking into a black hole. A Vanta, is it Vanta black they call it?
I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
just
black,
that
all
dark,
black.
like that black.
Yeah, and that
Yeah.
that then kind of, that, when I produced that, it that was it. I knew I was gonna do well, basically.
Wow, that's amazing. So when you were first getting into like selecting the kind of project, did you find it just super easy to just go with your eye attached to and then start getting those into your breeding project? Or what was your process like when it came to getting your first Black Knights and then continuing to grow your collection and you kind of have a like a look to your collection. Like if you see a picture of your geckos, I know you've had issues with scammers lately.
Yeah,
And like it's your gecko. So like how
yeah.
did it go about to really have that look to your geckos and really just having that Eco Gecko trademark when it comes to some of the things that you're producing?
I think what it was it's working on quality, not quantity. Uh,
Mm,
the quality of my animals. So I would always hold back the very best. So that, if that meant I sold 10 of them off and kept the one I wanted, I would. Like, it wasn't about holding them back and producing more. It was 100% about the quality. So when I popped the void, it was no pattern. I knew 100% that's staying back here. You could offer me 20,000, 30,000 euros, I wouldn't take it. Money wouldn't be a thing. It was more, that animal is going to work so well on my projects. I'm going to continue working with that. And it's the same with everything. Anything I produce from my geckos, I think it's going to work. There's no amount of money I'd ever let it go for. So it's more. I always have a image in my head of where I want to get to with every line. I tick. It's like a list. I tick it. So the DBs, I say I completed, but I didn't really. The Black Knights, I don't know if I could go darker.
yeah.
that's, the, that's the problem. I don't know if I could actually go darker with them. So that's where I got into Panda. Um, yeah, it's all down to quality for me. It's selective breeding, 100%.
Right. Right. And that eye, I know it definitely takes kind of an eye to see like what kind of geckos you want to hold back, what kind of stuff do you want to sell off. And I know with
Yep.
the Black Knights, even with the first gecko you got from Fairy, it kind of lightened up a little bit and wasn't
Yeah.
quite the quality that you wanted to get. So specifically with the Black Knights, like how do you go about trying to get the darkest of the darkest and making sure that they keep that darkness till adulthood and really having an eye for that? Because I know sometimes with certain lines, and especially when you're outcrossing, that that blackness could vary as they develop and get older.
Yeah, that's a brilliant question. Brilliant one. So when the Black Knight was being made, it was being made via the temperatures too. So the temperatures were lowered, not just incubation, but when they were being raised. When I brought my first one, I was told to keep them under a certain temperature for a first year of their life. Now, I don't agree with that. I'm not gonna, um, I'm not gonna manipulate temperatures because obviously a Leo needs to heat, digestive, all that. Do you know what I mean? I'm not gonna. So, long story short, what I did was I put them on normal temperatures, all of them. I hatched them on normal temperatures, and the ones that were truly black, I kept. The ones that were true black, not just artificially made black through temperature manipulation, I kept back. And these are the ones I breed on. I find all Black Knights will hatch with pattern. All of them. 99% of Black Knights will hatch with pattern. Unless, this is pure line, by the way, not anything superstar or anything like that. They'll hatch with pattern, and then they'll start to. The good ones will cover up that pattern within the first few months of their life. Now, if they do cover up that pattern is, it's there to an extent. It is there always, but the chances are you'll never see it. If you're mixing Black Knight into anything, like another gene, so the first gen cross, I don't label any of them Black Knight. So if I do a Black Knight to Max Snow, I get normals and Max Snows. None of them are Black Knight to me. They're all normals and Max Snows. They're Black Knight lineage, like obviously it's the first gen cross, but I wouldn't label them Black Knight. I think there's a big problem with labeling animals that hatch from a Black Knight or paired to a Black Knight. You call them all Black Knights. Black Knight's a line bred trait. It has to show the black for it to be a Black Knight. Me and Ferry had the discussion, and he wanted me to make a public statement about it, but I didn't feel like I could. I don't have the authority to do that. I said to him, I can't do that on your behalf. I'd much rather if you made a statement about it all and I'd back you, kind of thing. But getting into the ones that lighten up now, I've had experience with temperatures. So a lot of breeders will still use that temperature stuff. So if you had a Black Knight on lower temperatures, it's going to look darker. And then when they sell it on and the other person gets it and puts it on normal temperatures, they lighten up. This is a big issue. And that's with the pure line. The pure line, I tend to find when you're using quality animals, that won't happen as much. When you're using a pure black to a okay Black Knight, your quality is going to dip and it will fluctuate up and down. The animals will lighten and darken. But if you're using two really nice animals, the chances are they're not going to change at all. Yeah, that's the whole temperature thing. Oh, something I was going to say. It's just flown by my mind though.
Yeah, but it's cool to see that like when you really start with that quality, I think that's the big thing. People try to, and it's okay to like get lower quality and kind of work your way up with breeding because, like you said, like it's a line bred trait, so you can do that. But just that variation, I know it could vary a lot more depending on the quality of the animals that you're working with.
Exactly, and that's exactly what I was going to say. So when you're then using crosses, so what I find with crosses, especially Max Snow, but when you add the eclipse, the het eclipse, not the full gene eclipse, I find the darkness. So I'll hatch these really dark geckos. As they grow up to 20, 30 grams, they will still have that darkness. The next 10, 20 grams, they will lose a lot of that darkness. But when I pair it back to a very nice animal that's, let's say, a panda, a super snow, het eclipse, Black Knight, anything that's really dark, I will get dark babies from it.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I find with the pure line, it's different to when you add genes into it. I find them two different groups, two different things.
So you said that second generation is when you start getting that color back. and that getting those
Oof.
darker.
So with the crosses, I always say give yourself 5 years.
Oh,
five,
really? Okay,
five
wow.
years. Give yourself 5 years on a Black Knight project. So I've crossed a Black Knight into Super Snow Clips. The first year, all just max snow, het clips, normals, no black on them whatsoever. And this is using the darkest male possible I can. Second year, you'll start if you paired them back, you'll start seeing some progress. Third year, more progress. I always say 5 years. Always give yourself 5 years.
Wow.
You can hit those lucky ones though. You can hit the 1 in a million animals. You can hit those lucky ones, but
Right.
it's very unlikely.
So once you get that first generation, so say you have that super snowy clips and you're crossing it to the Black Knight, and then you
Yep.
have the babies. Do you cross the babies back to the father, or do you cross the babies back with each other to find the
So
best
it
results?
depends. So
Okay.
in my groups, I have all the original pure lions. Um, I have many of them, and a few very good males. So if they're going to go back to something, they won't go back to the original parents or anything like that. They'll go to another pure line or another panda line gecko.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Got it.
keep it diverse. Like I do realize there obviously with the pure line there is issues. There are issues for sure. And me and Ferry had a conversation the other day about the ongoing issues. So
Mm.
especially the ones that are coming out of Korea, we're not sure what's happened, but they're very unhealthy, very
Yeah.
very unhealthy. And but me and him said like I don't know what they've done with them, but they are bad.
Yeah. I think that's a great point to bring up. You
Yeah,
see in certain places of the world, people are kind of just inbreeding them like so much that they get all of these
exactly.
issues, and they're not keeping a diverse collection and bringing
Yeah.
in other things into it. With you, how have you found? Because I think your animals are amazing and really amazing big animals. They're healthy. What have you done to really just allow them to have as much genetic diversity, but still keep that amazing color within the line?
So what I originally done, if I was ever to breed Black Knight, it would be from Ferry. So they'd be straight from Ferry, and I would never cross my lines into each. So if I bred, let's say pure line one to pure line two, any offspring I kept back would never go to one or two, and more than often I'd actually outcross to something else. I have normal non-hets. Um, like my match, I made some match snows darker than I say darker, as dark as the pure line.
Mm.
I've got three of them at the moment, all not related, and they are as dark as the pure line. They're like,
Wow.
I absolutely love them. The fact I can get the match snows as dark, um, are brilliant. My initial plan was to go into panda, but I recently got a opportunity that I can let down. Couldn't say no to.
Wow. That's just awesome to like see that. Like it's cool because I think so many people just talk about how hard it is for outcrossing, but I think you are really just committed to doing the work because it is a lot of work, right? When
It
you're
is,
going
it
into
is, yeah.
making plans and then making plans for 5 years down the line when you want to see a project pan out. When it comes to like just a mindset of really being strategic with your pairings and looking for quality, what ways do you look for to really just get a plan down and a solid plan that you could stick to and really look to the future that you might be breeding for 5 years until you see this one project pan out and having that mindset?
I think it's all down to yourself. I think if you want to do something that bad, then you you make the progress, you get the animals you want, and you start on it. It's the fact that I love doing this. I couldn't imagine not doing it. This keeps I work at the moment. I can't work, so I've actually broke my back and my my leg. Um,
Wow.
but I was working every day, 12 hours, sorry, Monday to Saturday, every single day. But I was coming home and doing all the Leos, and I loved it. It's a passion. I think it's just the whole thing's a passion. And when you get a project you want to do, if you're passionate about it, it doesn't matter how many years it'll take.
Mm,
10 years.
yeah.
One of my projects I've put 10 years on, minimum. Uh, that's a bit of a silly one, but it's Super Giant Black Knight. I would like to at least increase the size to an extent of where you can call it maybe a giant. But that's all controversial. I can't say it properly, but yeah, that's a topic.
It's tricky. It's
In its
tricky.
own. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think also when it comes to yeah, just having that mindset, I think you've done that very well. And I know it's, especially as a breeder, it's tricky, right? And I could imagine your first investment into Black Knights, you're like, man, like what if I don't make this back or something happens to the male or the female that I have? And yeah, it's really scary going into some of these projects, especially when you're really passionate about it
100%.
and thinking like not only on the passion side of it, but also knowing that there's a business side to it too, and it's really scary to really jump into these things full head first.
Yeah. Another thing I was going to say is to show my determination on projects. As I said, I was going to do Supergiant Black Knight, so I originally looked for the biggest gecko I possibly could find.
Yeah.
It took me 2 years talking to Stefan and worming my way in, finally achieve 4, the world's largest supergiant. And 4, so I postponed the project for 2 years to get the animal I wanted, continue the project. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
this is the first year I will start on that project, but it goes to show that I will wait 3, 4. It doesn't matter. If I need, in my mind, I need the right animals to do it properly. So that's just an example of the determination I have towards projects.
Yeah, and it's a lot of patience too. I don't think a lot of people understand just the patience that goes into some of these things, and just waiting for the right animal at the right time. And a lot of it is just timing, honestly. And it's hard to get that, especially when you're trying to think big picture and not just the narrow road of where everything's at.
Yeah, no, I agree, 100%.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people when they hear this, they're like, "Oh my gosh, that's like insane to do that." But when you're thinking about kind of years down the line and where you want to see your goal, it makes things a lot easier. And I wanted to ask for you, like, how do you set goals for yourself in terms of breeding and wanting to get some of the projects you're working on, but working slowly year by year to just raise up the right animals or wait for that right color Black Knight to come out or something else that you're waiting for to get for that right piece in order to integrate that into your project?
With everything I'm doing, there's always an end goal. There's always an end goal. So in my mindset, if I'm on a project, I've got an end goal. I will invest. Let's say I wanted to do what's the project? Extreme Pied and Super Snow Clips. I will wait, and I have waited. I've probably waited for about 3 years now for the correct animal to pop up. So let's say Extreme Pied. I've got a goal I want to do 100%. To complete that goal, I will wait as much years it takes, whatever. And investment wise, money wise, would never be a problem, because if I'm so dedicated to do something, money and time, I'm willing to give. Do you know what I mean? But when it actually comes down to it and keeping the project going, it's just year by year you're seeing progress, and the progress is what I love. Even if you're getting, let's say you're going down another route, let's say the Super Snows. First years you can get max snow eclipses or whatever. That's, you're going to get Extreme Pied on them, but that's 1 year gone. But you've got some more animals to work with. It's all progress. I find it's just passion for me. So it doesn't matter how long it will take. If the goal's there, if the image is there, I will work towards that. When it comes back to hold back quality, it has to be in the line of the image I have at the end. So when I was younger, much younger, I wanted to produce white max snows. Nice, obviously they yellow out very well, like the Albi snow line. That's beautiful. I wanted to get some white max snows. So it's things with England too. Sorry, I'm getting off the topic, but importing and exporting is extremely hard. If I import anything privately, I've got to pay $1,000 minimum just on the import. That's not the flight. That's just on my. Is it broker?
Those fees, those broker fees.
And then I've got to pay 20% tax on the total cost of the animals and flight, plus VAT. I've got to make sure I've got everything done, health certificates, everything. So importing to the UK is very hard at the moment. Even exporting, that's a headache for sure. Anything that exports out of the UK has to go to DDI in Europe first. So we fly them to is it Netherlands? The Netherlands to DDI, and then to the USA. Get back on topic though. Project wise and import, and that's So going off that, sorry. So when I was younger, I imported the from Steve Sykes. It was a Mac Snow Eclipse white and yellow, but it was such a white washed out one. I think I waited at least a year for the right animal. I was looking for a year for the right animal, and that animal had the image from my end goal. So no matter what it was, I was getting the animal back. I think it's a lot of determination and passion. You have to have that, otherwise, I think people drop off their projects a lot. One year they don't get what they want. They kind of, a lot of people I know sell them off. I go, you just spent a year or two doing that. Your goal's still there. You just maybe have to change it up a bit.
Yeah, and that's, I think, a great approach to go about that. And I think that's also what makes you different from a lot of breeders, right? I think I've seen your progress over the years and the things that you're producing, but you're continuing to go forward. You're not going backwards, and you don't, even if you do have like stumbling blocks and things like that, you continue to go forward. There's a lot of other breeders right now that are doing Black Knights or doing certain melanistic lines. What do you think makes you different from a lot of those other breeders who are doing those same things? And why do you think your success has catapulted you into just totally just you're on your own level with all of these things compared to other people?
It's a hard one, that is. I think I've done the Black Knights correctly. I think I didn't do the temperature stuff. I didn't take any notice of that. I did, if I found an animal that was truly black, I did hold it back. I put it into another group. What makes me different? I don't think I'm very different at all. I think people can also do what I do. I just,
you just do it better.
I don't want to come across like that at all. Because obviously, Ferry himself put 15 years of his life into this. So,
right.
Ferry's work, really, I just continued it. What makes it different? I think the darkness and the fact that they are truly dark. If you ask anyone that orders from me, especially in the USA, they're astonished how dark the animals truly are in person. The amount of good feedback I get from people, they love them, and they go, we can't find anything like that in the USA here. I think the ones I've imported are probably some of the best in the USA, exported, sorry, to the USA, some of the best there. When I go onto the morph market and I look on the USA Black Knights, you've got 200 normals that aren't black sold as Black Knights for $900, and I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah, it is. And then you go to yours, and it's on a completely different scale of like what it means to have a dark melanistic animal.
Yeah, I do work towards like full black. So I'm this year alone, I'm pairing all my pure lines I pair are 100% black, or they're not getting paired. I'm using only 100% black animals, but that doesn't mean all my babies are going to be 100% black. It doesn't work like that. I think with Black Knight it's very much chance and luck. But obviously, using better parents will give you better odds, for sure.
Right.
But a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people message me. I'll get 100 messages like every week going, I want a full black one. I go, it's not that easy. It doesn't work like that.
Right.
I can't do that. Or I'll put a sale up of a few geckos. No one's interested in them. They'll message me, go, have you got any full black ones? No, I don't. A lot of people don't understand that if I pair 10, a 5 to 20 group of pure black animals, I'm not going to have 100 pure black animals. It doesn't work like that at all. It's all, I won't say luck, but it is down to luck. I guess. It's just those full black animals are 1 in a million. Put it that way. They're really good animals, and if I do get a full black one, I do sell them now. I don't keep them back because I feel like there's nothing more I could do with that animal.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting. Yeah, and I think a lot of people who are going for those animals, it's really difficult. But for I think what you said before, you have one of the best examples of what it means to have a true full black animal. And I think here in the U.S., a lot of those lines have just been watered down. Or you go and you see crosses or different things that people are trying to do, and they're not just as they don't have that robustness, they don't have the full
yeah,
that full darkness, but also having a healthy animal as well. So for people
yeah.
here in the US, what is some advice that you could give for people to really just get to that point where if someone wants to continue to do the hard work and really put in the effort through the time, the money, the investment that goes into it, and
Yep.
everything else on the back end, what is some advice that you could give to people who want to get to that point eventually one day where they're like, okay, wow, I'm proud of this animal that I put time into, and it's really that full black animal that I had my vision for just years ago.
So it comes down to two options there. It's either you can buy the ones that are $900 that look normal, and you can line breed them, and after a good few years, you're going to get to the stage you want to get to. What I would suggest is to wait, wait until the perfect animal comes up. Wait until you see an animal and you go, I need that. That's exactly what I want. When you find that animal, get 100%. Doesn't matter how much or whatever. Save. You just get that animal, because that animal will fly you through your project faster than getting that $900 one and spending 10 years line breeding it. Also find with the Black Knights, you've got to be very careful with what you buy. With the young ones, Black Knights tend to come out, when you cross them into anything snow, they tend to come out black when they're young. Very dark. You can make an animal look full black with super snow or max snow when they're young. These animals will change massively with age. These animals will lose 99% of their black by 30, 40 grams. So you've just brought an animal that looked black and was probably priced at $2,000, but with age, that's gone down to a zero black animal. Not saying it won't work. Obviously, that's not what you paid for. That's not what you want. I would say, getting into anything like that, baby, young ones, be very careful buying crosses from certain people and certain breeders, because they're probably going to end up normals or lighten up very, very often. With the pure line, it's a little bit different. They also look very dark when young. They can change massively when older, but look into the parents, look into what they've used to pair them. So if you see two black animals from the breeder and the babies are looking nice and dark, the chances are they're going to be good. But the extra thing with Black Knight, also where you can't win, is Black Knight tends to get darker with age. Now, I've seen, and I'm not lying, normal geckos from the Black Knight line at 10 months, normal, just a normal. At
Really?
14 months old, it's a black animal.
That's crazy.
It is absolutely astonishing. I've seen it happen. But when that animal is then sold onto a Black Knight project, expect the babies to look like the 10-month when it was 10 months old. So it's not, so look, I call it fake black. That's what I call it. I call
Okay,
ones
yeah.
that get darker with age, it's fake black.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I call it. You need those ones that are naturally dark, that stay dark, that don't change.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And what do you think like plays into that like that weirdness where it like goes light and then like just out of nowhere it goes dark and super
I,
super black?
I've only found, so I find with the crosses, it can happen, but not to an extent on the pure line. The pure line can go from normal to very dark. The thing is, with I find what it is, it's a brownie black. So what it is, the brown
Got
black
it.
on it is the pattern showing underneath. Now, this is what you want to look out for on the pure line. The browns means there's pattern there.
Okay.
So
That's really interesting.
yeah. So when you find a pure line with brown, let's say brown spots down the back, that's pattern. That's probably one that's got darker with age or temperature or something. That pattern is there to come back out at some point. But with the crosses, I find they do darken, but not massively. So they will darken to an extent, like maybe add a 20% more black onto it with age, but that's only some. If the lineage is good on them, they will go on to produce some nice geckos if you pair them back to dark animals.
That's good to know. And I think that's super helpful for so many other people out there that are getting these animals and they're like, why are they not, what I want? And definitely that pattern that kind of comes from underneath. It's hard to explain.
Yeah.
But that comes from underneath the base color. Yes,
exactly. And it's very confusing because you contradict yourself so many ways of Black Knight. But the years I've done with them, this is how it works. It's what I've seen. It's what I've discovered. It's a weird one. So if I went to you, I don't explain it. So if I went, there's a pure line there that got dark with age. Don't get it. That's no good. That's not going to do good for black animals. But if there was a cross there that got 20% dark with age, I went, that will probably go on to produce nice darker animals if you paired it back to pure line. If you had enough lineage and good lineage in there, it would do very well. Like I said, with the Max Snow and the Het Eclipse, it will hide the darkness very well. These animals will go on to produce very nice animals.
Yeah, it's tricky. Like
it is. It's so tricky.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people get into the line thinking it's a base genetic, right? You have like your albinos, your snows, and things like that. And it's just so much different than anything else we have out there. And there's a lot of work and a lot of just a lot of training that goes into really working with line bred things, and especially the Black Knight, which I think gets a lot of people confused.
It does. I think it's probably, I wouldn't recommend, a lot of people jump onto it thinking it's going to make them $1 million too. A lot of people I find that don't have a clue about Leos, the first thing they want are Black Knights because obviously the price. A lot of people go to me, oh yeah, I'm going to produce 20 of these a season. I go, you're not going to produce 20 of these a season. Black Knights are line bred trait. You've got line bred for like 15 years. The fertility on Black Knights isn't the best at all. So not only are you working with the chance of hitting dark animals, you're working with poor fertility. That's a factor.
Yeah. There's so much that goes into this that I think a lot of people don't understand.
No, it's not.
Before we go on, I want to say thank you to our sponsors. Impeccable Gecko is a small to mid-sized family-operated hobbyist breeder operation. They specialize in leopard geckos with high-quality genetics. Their goal is to provide customers with the absolute best animals that they could produce, coupled with honest and transparent business methods. At Impeccable Gecko, integrity and animal welfare are above all else. Impeccable Gecko is a strong supporter of the Strength and Leos podcast, so follow them on social media and check out what they have available. John of Gecko Boa started early, like most of us, catching lizards and snakes in his backyard at any chance he got. Over the years, he has kept and bred more than 80 species of reptiles. In recent years, his focus has turned to specializing within the genus Heblepharus. He has worked hard to pioneer some of the most cutting-edge leopard geckos while maintaining genetic purity and honesty. He also keeps the most diverse collection of pure Heblepharus species in the world. He has coordinated with biologists around the world and has contributed DNA sampling and distribution range info to help sort out the cladistic relationships within the genus. Check out geckoboa.com for more info and available geckos. Suburban Geckos is operated by Chris Charlton. Chris's passion and enjoyment for herpetoculture, and more specifically leopard geckos, drove the desire to take his hobby to the next level. With experience in breeding and raising reptiles well over 20 years, Chris is dedicated to producing quality animals for both the hobbyist and breeder alike. Suburban Geckos treats each animal with the utmost care and respect, and cuts no corners when it comes to health and integrity of their geckos. What started off as just a couple aquariums has grown into quite the collection in just a few years, and they wouldn't have it any other way. The dedication to their animals is unparalleled and evident in the quality and health of their animals that they produce. Exemplary customer service is another area where they excel. They're readily available to answer any questions you may have regarding their animals, husbandry, and etc. For more info and to see their availability, check out suburbangeckos.com. Blizzy Bold Leos, while new to the scene, is taking strides in following the footsteps of top-tier breeders and keepers in care and ethics while aspiring to bring fresh looks and crosses to explore latent potential. Prior to becoming a breeder, Greg of Blizzy Bold Leos completed hours of extensive research on lines, ethics, morphs, and how certain traits interact with others in order to begin projects which are coming to fruition already in the second season of breeding. With a major focus on line breeding the correct way and customer service done right, Blizzy-Billed Leos aspires to be a breath of fresh air to the customers and keepers they encounter. Be sure to check out their Instagram, Blizzy-Billed Leos, and stay up to date on project development, availability, or just tips on having healthy animals in your care. Dab Exotics is a hobbyist breeding operation that was started in 2017. They specialize in producing healthy leopard geckos from top quality genetics. Dab Exotics is an awesome supporter of the Strength in Leos podcast, so follow them on social media and check out what they have available for sale. Shane Kelly is a blue-collar, working-class guy that has a reptile breeding business with his wife and kids. They are currently working with high-quality ball python morphs, western hognose snakes, and select leopard geckos with a focus on bold stripes, and they're looking forward to adding Albie Snow and Ghost this year. They have been listening to the podcast since the beginning and are proud to be a Season 4 sponsor. Go check out their social media, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and also check out their morph market to see what they have available.
So with the Black Knights, we talked a little bit about the variations you work with. You do the panda stuff, the total eclipse with the Black Knights, and then the snow eclipses, and so many other things. So can you walk us through some of the variations that you really love and that you're working with, and some of the things that you're looking forward to in the future to continue to work the Black Knights into?
Understood. I am working. So it's last year. Sorry, I was given the opportunity to take over the panda line. Got the original breeder in, but on the offside, I was breeding my own stuff towards this anyway. So the animals I had, I was working on darkness instead of like the pied look. So like I said, I had those void max snows. When I got the opportunity to take over the panda line, I got the original male breeder. He was a fast track into the eclipse. This year, I bred him to a couple of those max snows, and I got the results were amazing, absolutely amazing. Super snowy eclipses. They had the white legs. They were so much darker than the parents. Brilliant. My excitement does come with panda, and the end goal is extreme pied, super snow eclipse, Black Night. That's the end goal. I will achieve that. I want the body pied. I want the pied to break out in the body. You know, a black and white animal. Like I said, I completed black, I've completed white, and I want a black and white one. So I will not stop until I've got that pied look all over the panda. And a lot of people in the USA, from what we've seen, think the eclipse markings are pied. They call the eclipse markings pied, so the legs, the tail tip, and the nose. That's not actually pied. That's just the eclipse markings. So pied would be the neck, the body. Do you know what I mean? So
right, getting it broken up and everything throughout the body.
The panda pied isn't actually panda pied because the original breeder, I think it's in my photo there, hasn't got any pied on him whatsoever. It's just the eclipse markings. So a lot of people get confused with that. My goal, I hit a pied this season, but it was from a pairing that should have hit the pied. It was more of a test pairing, and it hit the pied, but didn't get quite as much darkness over. But I'm lucky it worked out in the right way of being sex-wise, being a female, and I've got obviously my very dark males that I will pair to her. And I think from that pairing alone, I'll probably hit pied panda this year. Sorry, yeah. But other than that, project-wise, the pandas, the max snow eclipses, all of it is working towards extreme pied. The whole thing is working towards extreme pied Black Nights.
That's so awesome. Yeah, just getting that variation off of what you have from a Black Knight.
Yeah.
And like you said before, you could only get so dark. Once you get dark, you could only go so dark. So I think the future of that is really getting it into other things and seeing what it could do to color and pattern and so many other things that could go along with it.
Yeah, well, the one that I really didn't. So I'm not an albino guy. I'm not a big albino guy at all. The only two albinos I've got in my collection would be Four. He's a Tremper albino, and it's Lava. I initially got a lava for my birthday. I brought it for myself. But that animal alone, the Black Knight works with the Tremper and the Mandarin. It's astonishing.
It's a nice present to get for yourself. It's a good gift.
It was good. It was very nice, dude. Yeah, that was a. I think I did quite a big order there too, so that cost a lot of money to get that in. But in the UK, we don't have anything like this. We have nothing like this.
Mm.
The best tangs here are not great at all. I think a lot of people don't want to in the UK don't want to spend on their collection as such because getting them into the UK will cost you as much as the gecko or more.
Right, yeah. You have to really make sure it's worth it because you can't buy even a $500 gecko. Like it's not even worth it really just importing it in until you're like really getting some good quality stuff that would be worth importing in.
Exactly, yeah. So it's a shame the way it is, but unfortunately, if you do want to succeed with Leos and you want to import and get different bloods and get the quality, it's just going to cost you a gold mine. It really will.
Right, yeah. Until you guys even just get a good enough stock from yourself to really start transporting throughout the UK.
Yeah, but well, that's it. Thing is, I think with the UK, I don't think there's any not many real passionate people that really want to. They're not going to spend 2,000, 3,000 on a gecko, unfortunately. So most of the things I import, I would initially look at exporting around the world.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is it, even if you're like importing things from Europe, is the price, I'm guessing it's a little cheaper than in like importing from the US and things like that? Okay.
It depends if you privately import or you go through a courier.
Okay.
So if I was to private import from, let's say, Canada, which I did last year, the flight cost me $300.
Wow.
The order cost me $10,000. The tax cost me $2,000.
Sheesh.
It was a little bit over 2,000, and then the actual clearance cost me another $1,000.
Wow.
And that was for 4 animals.
That's insane.
Yeah. If I was to import from the ham shows or the Houghton shows, and there was someone, a courier going over there, it would cost me, I think, at the moment, it depends on their prices. So I got charged $200 an animal from one courier, $175 from the other. I've managed to get it down for myself to $120 an animal. So I pay $120 an animal, and then I have to pay for the animal. And let's say the animal cost $1,000, I'll then have to pay $200 in tax. So I have to pay 20% of the total cost of the animal on tax on the way back in.
Wow.
I spend 10,000, I pay 2,000 tax. Put it that way.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
People are probably like, just their jaws are just dropping right now for all the fees and the things that go into getting a collection and other things from other places around the world.
Yeah, it's really silly. It really is. It's it's devastating. But if you want to do it this bad, money doesn't matter. You will work hard. You know what I mean? I will work hard. I will get that. I will do that.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's one of the big things too that comes with it. Like there's a lot of upfront costs, but I think just the passion and the things that come with it, even without the money, I think just the hard work and the joy that you get from it, it's worth $1 million at the end of the day.
I totally agree, 100%. The passion went there. There wouldn't be a point. I think, like I said, it keeps my head busy. I love running my page. I love talking to people. Being invited to podcasts like this, it's amazing. Do you know what I mean? I get to talk to people about what I'm passionate about. And not only that, the animals themselves are stunning.
Oh, 100%.
Stunning. So it's just a win-win all round.
Exactly. And even with some of the other projects you're working with, I know you're most known for your Black Night stuff, but you have some amazing other, like you have Tangerines, the tiger. You want to talk about that actually? You want to get into that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. The red tiger was an animal. It was actually originated from Korea, from a very nice guy, Hong Lizard, I believe. Very nice, very, very nice guy. What it was I was going through a website and I saw this animal and it stuck with me. She stuck with me for, I think it was a week. Every day I was going back and looking at her. And the fact that I kept looking at her, I had to get her. Initially, when I first brought her, obviously, importing from Korea was new to me there. obviously I didn't think it was possible. He made it very, very easy. It cost me, I think, $50 to get her over to Europe.
Wow. I would have
Yeah,
thought it would have been like way more difficult.
I think because he does it in bulk and to other customers, it all pays for itself. So
Got it.
I think that's the way he works. So to get over to Europe cost me 50, and we actually drove. Me and my friend, we drove from the UK all the way to Amsterdam to get her.
Wow.
Yeah, that's when also I picked up the panda that day too. But going off that, she's astonishing. She's one of a kind. She's an inferno blood. She is, but the look on her is just so unique, so unique. I plan to put her to a blood mandarin tangerine. Sorry, that's my little dog. You're a fella. Yes, I plan to put her to a mandarin tangerine blood. He's a little bit more banded, but I believe the spots will go. I believe in the next 5 years, the spots will go over her nicely, and I'll have a nice male to pair her back to get that red tiger look.
That's awesome because that look is just so unique. The way that the black kind of just jumps off the red and the orange, and it's just such a unique animal that you don't see. Like there's nothing really like it, I think, out there.
No, she is very. It's exactly why I brought her, because she was so unique. Her name's Red Tiger. It's obviously you can't just buy an animal and call it a lion or anything like that. A lot more work has to go into it. But if I do manage to get the black spot and the black banding over to other animals, I would like to start calling it a Red Tiger lion. But again, it needs a lot more work. It needs a lot more years. But that would be the goal there with her.
Right. And that's to you, that's easy. It's just like, a couple years and hard work's the easy part.
Yeah. I hope to. Obviously, I don't have the best pairing for her. If I was to do, the thing is, with the male I brought, again, I waited, I think, 2 years to get the male I wanted. I was looking for a very, it had to be a reddish male. I was after something with a little bit of red in it. And my male does have that. It's very hard to pick up on camera. That's the only thing. I privately imported him, and I think the shipping, I think for one male, it was over $4,000 in the end, just because of the shipping fees and all that. But because it was what I wanted, it didn't matter. I was getting him, so I imported him. I think if his colour was to go over on her, and then we started getting her spotting over on the offspring, I think there's really good potential there.
Got it. And I know another line that you're working with is the Mandarin Tangerine, and getting that into the Black Knight. So how has that project been working for you, and what do you enjoy about that project, and where do you see that project to go for that look that you're really looking for?
So with a lot of the Mandarin Tangerines, I find they kind of rust out. They rust out, and if you add too much Black Knight, they look just like a brownish, a darkish brownish gecko. That's not what I'm going for. With the Mandarin Tangerine, I want to add as much Mandarin as I do Black Knight. I want to show both traits. I want black bands, orange bands. You know what I mean? I want a black and orange animal there, but solid colours, not spotted. That's what I'm going with there. My first 2 eggs was actually a very nice Mandarin Tangerine paired back to a Mandarin Tangerine Black Knight paired to Mandarin Blood. So the first 2 eggs that will hatch here will be that project itself.
Okay, got it. It's really interesting because I think a lot of people are starting to inject melanistics into their tangerine lines, and it's crazy just the variation that you could get with kind of an orange gecko with the black spots, and then you have the banded look, and then you have it where it's like actually the 2 solid colors together. So it's really interesting how many looks that you could get from those 2 lines.
Yeah, there is a few looks. I'm only going for a certain one. I don't like the rusted colour. I don't like the brownish colour. That's not what I'm going for. I want basically an animal that's showing both of the best traits. I want black and red or orange on it. That's what I want.
Got it. And I think a lot of people also, they're going for that look, but also they get those kind of the muddy brown looking geckos. Do you think is that too much like Black Knight with a tangerine?
That's a mixture. Obviously, when you add I think that's too much Black Knight, and you need to add another couple generations of MT. But obviously, when you with line bred traits, you add one, you're going to wash out the other. Do you know what I mean? It's you've got to keep it stable. So with Lava, which is Mandarin Tangerine, Black Knight, Tremper, that has all the looks. That has the bit of the Black Knight Tremper look. That has the Mandarin look. If I was to do that, I would like to go back to Black Knight with that, just to see what I hatch from it. And then from there, I put the babies to Mandarin Tangerine, and then back to the mother, I would, on that. Because the look there is a little bit of everything. Do you know what I mean? It's not too much Black Knight, it's not too much Mandarin Tangerine. The brownish look, it's just, I think you've added too much Black Knight in.
Got it.
Yeah,
it's a tricky balancing game to get both things in there to exactly what you want it.
Yeah, a lot of people do want to achieve that, though. They like the rusty browny look, which isn't a problem, but for my preference, it wouldn't be what I'd want to go for at all.
Yeah, right. And with just the other products that you're working with, is there anything else that we missed that you wanted to highlight as we're talking about your project and some of the things you're working with?
Let's think. We've got the Mandarin Tangerines. I've got a few main projects. The rest are kind of underground. So I don't know if you heard of this, but when hatching the pure lines, I hatched a very unusual gecko, which looked very snowish. So it was a full white and black animal, and this is from 2 pure lines. That's the only one I say it's only one. At the time, it was the only one I hatched. Going off of that, the eye pigment was a little bit off. Also, it was nothing. It was like a half moon hanging on the top left corner of the eye.
Interesting.
So the eye pigment was a little bit off, and the animal was a little bit weird. And then obviously the same male that produced that was paired to something else, and I produced this other very, very weird animal. I say weird; it's could be nothing at all, but we call him Cloud9. He's a Max Snow Het Blizzard Het Eclipse, but he looks very different. The base color, the spotting you can obviously put down to Het Blizzard, but the eye pigment also has the same eye pigment, the Hanging Moon. I shot the gun on it, and I thought I'm possibly working with a new trait of snow here, because it's nothing I've never seen before. And then this year I hatched another one too. I hatched one that looked just like Cloud9. I hatched another pure line with the white banding Moon Eye. So it's potentially something there, but it's way too early to say anything, major. It's a project I will continue. I won't continue it this year. I'm going to give them a year off due to, at the moment in the UK, getting animals in and out of the UK is an absolute mess. And when it comes down to, let's say, test breeding and wholesale and everything, it's a total mess. So to breed too much in the UK at the moment would be ridiculous. So I'm only keeping it to my main projects.
Yeah, and I think also the perspective about that, trying not to overproduce, is a really great thing that you want to keep in mind for anybody really breeding, no matter where you are, because it's such a easy thing to do to pair too many geckos these days.
Exactly. With those test pairings, I'm gonna get a lot of normals, Het Blizzard, Het Eclipse. I'm gonna get a lot of animals that aren't needed here, and they're not a lot of desirable animals. So for their health and their well-being, I don't want to produce them for them to be flogged off to a shop. I'd rather wait another year, see what happens in the UK, because a lot of breeders are quitting due to the electricity crisis. A lot of breeders are stop breeding, and they're just flogging up every animal possible. Breeders, babies, £30. £30, so it's about $35.
Wow.
And there's hundreds of them.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And they go into shops, they go into wholesalers, and no one wants to buy. No one wants to get, So overproducing this year isn't an option. I'll stick to the main projects, and that's it.
Got it. Yeah, I'm glad that you're taking that perspective on it, because it's, again, like I said, it's so easy to overproduce, and once you see people just flooding the market with some of these things, it's really sad to see that happen at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, I agree. It really is. It's a shame, but things do happen. Energy bills now in the UK, you're talking $1,000 a month.
Man,
yeah,
that's insane.
Mm-hmm. it's getting quite ridiculous. So I can see obviously where people are struggling. I can see where the panics come from, but unfortunately, doing so, you're ruining it for a lot of other people.
Right, exactly. And it's for me, I always take the approach that it's better to go on the lesser side of things than
Yeah,
go over and regret it at the end of the day.
I agree fully. Yeah, 100%.
Nice, nice. Well, I wanted to also talk to you about some of the differences between, just from your perspective as
Yep.
someone, living in the UK, living across the pond, as people say, and seeing what people are doing here in the US and seeing a little bit of the differences. So I wanted to ask you, what are some of the biggest things that you notice as differences between people breeding here in the US and then people breeding in the UK, but then also just in Europe as well?
Right, so uh, the way we look at morphs and traits. So, like I said, in the USA, a lot of people call the eclipse markings pied. So that's one big. Over here, can't do that. You get shouted at basically.
Really?
Yeah. So it's very very different on that extent. And also when it comes to Black Knights, and obviously when you post things for sale, let's say for $800, and you call it a Black Knight and it's a Bob Standard normal, it's over here. It's not really accepted. Don't do that.
Interesting.
Yeah, you get talked about a lot, in the private groups and blah blah blah. A lot of things get thrown around when we go into the USA market, because I talk to a lot of USA people. I'm very close friends with a few of you, so I'm constantly in group chats of them, and they will show me like their market on their morph market, and I'm just like, I can't believe people are selling that. It'd be like a normal. It'd be labelled tangerine Black Knight. But there's no orange, there's no black. There's a big difference in, I think, what we label. I think there's a huge difference. But standard wise, breeding wise, I think we're very similar. I think we all believe in health over it all. Do you know what I mean? Healthy animals,
Right.
Quality of life, not just throwing animals together, produce animals to sell for money. I think we're very similar in that sense, where we do agree on that. But the only difference I do believe is probably what we look at morph-wise, certain traits and that.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I think that's really cool to get that. Just seeing the differences. I think another thing for me that we always talk about Europe and kind of throw all of you guys in one big pond, like one big bucket for everybody. But I know just even in different countries in Europe, people do things just so interestingly, and there's different things that people do with in terms of line traits and what they call different things, and just little things that people either like doing or they don't like doing between the different markets out there.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like if you're comparing UK to say Germany or anywhere in Europe, it's totally different. Trust me. Totally
Right.
Yeah, but I think they are a lot more. They're even stricter than us when it comes to certain things, because I think a lot of the stuff originally, you obviously got the main shows there, and a lot of the stuff originated from there. Morph wise, you got obviously the Black Knights and all that. So I think they're a lot more strict on what's being produced, what's being labelled, what you can't get away with over there, basically.
Yeah, I think one thing that I noticed is kind of an interesting separation between breeders across the world, and there's definitely kind of I wouldn't say like a fight, but kind of a little bit of distance between certain people and certain breeders. And I think when it comes to people here in the US, you kind of see that tension where people are talking about kind of the quality of the US versus the quality of Europe. And where do you think your stance is in terms of having certain things in certain places, but people want to get things from certain places, and kind of that disconnect across different countries?
I think it's so personally. I don't think it's bound to country. I think it's bound to per breeder. Doesn't matter where you're from. It's all about the quality you're breeding. You can be from Indonesia. You can be from anywhere. If you've got that quality, you've got it. So it doesn't matter. I would import from you. Do you know what I mean? I don't. Yeah, it's hard. It's a hard question, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really difficult also because I think we continue to put people in certain groups, right? Like all of UK is one way and all of Germany is one way, and we really like to standardize certain people. But at the end of the day, breeders are individuals, right? And people do
100%.
things a certain way, and they have certain quality, and they have things that they will put in their collection and things that they will never have in their collection. And as we continue to standardize people, there's a lot that you could lose from that, right? Because you're not going to you're not a representative of the whole UK, and I'm not the whole representative of the whole US. And it really is breeder by breeder basis, which I think we need to look a little bit more into.
That's how I see it, breeder by breeder. I don't think one person represents the whole of whatever. I think it is breeder but by breeder. If like I said, even though when my friend shows me the US morph market, I don't particularly go, the US. It's those breeders. I think if they were educated a little bit more on the subject, I think they'd change their ways anyway. Do you know what I mean? I think I think the Black Night song. I think there should be more educational stuff on morphs and the way things work anyway, because we don't have like a centre where we can go. Like, obviously, we've got people that do their websites and have information, blah, 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 but that's their experience. Someone else can have a totally different experience. And then when someone reads something off the internet that I've had a different experience to, I go, well, that's not actually right. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy when you think about the different experiences people have, but then also getting that documentation. I think that's one of the biggest reasons why I love doing the podcast, is really just getting that information from breeders directly themselves and getting it out to people, instead of just saying, this is the way you do it and you have to do it this way, because people have so many different experiences that you go through breeding and through different ways that you have, and really just getting that out to the people. I think that's one of the most valuable things that you could do. I
do. I think the podcast is a very good way of doing that. But obviously, if I was someone new on Leos, and what you do is you normally turn to Google, don't you? And type in the first thing in Google, first thing that comes up, you read, and you think that's right. Obviously, if we get away where we could get the information out there off of Google, not off Google, but you know what I mean, get the correct information out, I think it would make life a lot easier for all of us.
Yeah, and there's so much. One thing that for me I know was difficult when I was first getting started is there's so much conflicting information, right? You go to Google, you go to Facebook, and one person says this way, one person says this way, and you're like, what do I believe, right? It's so hard to get just true information that isn't just contradicting from one another.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and that's obviously where a podcast like this, where you get the people in that have experienced these certain traits and morphs and that. I think that's brilliant. That's perfect.
Definitely. So when it comes to the market, what do you think are the biggest differences between the market in the UK versus the market in the US in terms of prices, but then also just demand for certain morphs and certain geckos?
So truthfully, this is it's I don't want to put anyone under the bus, but in the UK, like I said, we are going through a crisis when it comes to leopard gecko and leopard gecko breeding. Due to electricity crisis, people giving up. People that are joined in lockdown, they obviously a lot of people are in lockdown. And they had a bit of money and they wanted to buy pets. There's a high demand for Leos, and the breeders that joined in lockdown, they'd buy your standard Trempers, Eclipses, and all that, and they'd breed all of them. No projects, no goal. They make these pages. Now it's all come crashing down, and the electricity gone up. They're out the game. But instead of selling their animals for decent prices with known genetics and that, like I said, they're flogging them off for £20-30, which is $35-40. And these are full-blown breeders these are breeder animals, known genetics. So the UK at the moment is absolutely destroyed. It is really bad, the market. So I put the UK on like a red zone at the moment, absolute red. But when it comes to like looking at the USA and the Europe, that seems to be going pretty well. I don't think there's much difference in prices. I think each their own breeder again. I think if you want to buy a Black Night off me, you're going to pay my prices. The quality will speak for itself. But if you could also pay more and get a lesser quality in the USA.
Right.
So I think it's all down to their own when it comes down to markets and selling and whatnot. Because if I have an animal that I believe is worth a certain amount, I don't care what anyone else is selling it for. I'm going to sell it for that price. Now, I could be overcharging or I could be charging, but that's my perspective on it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's so good that you're not waving away from that, because once you go away from that and decide to, I'm going to go a little bit less, and you start to do that, it really undercuts the price of just the quality that you're producing as well.
I 100% agree. Yeah.
Nice, nice. So for people who want to get into breeding and are looking into certain morphs and things like that, you got your morph that you're working with and you're killing it, and you have a few side projects and other things like that. What is some good advice that you give to people who, there's so many different morphs, there's so many different line bred things, there's so many different base morphs that you could do, so many, even just like with snows, there's so many different lines of snows, so many different albinos. What is some advice that you would give to people who really don't know what they're doing and want to get, want to select a few morphs that they really like and they're really passionate about, but don't know how to go about that?
Evan, I will answer that in just 1 minute. Is it right if I take a toilet break for a second?
Yeah, no problem.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Mabby.
Yeah.
1 minute, fella.
Of course, yeah.
I'm back, mate. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem. It'll be edited, so you're good.
Brilliant. That's what I love the non-lives. I hate going live. Oh,
Man, yeah, I couldn't do it.
it's awful. I went live a few times. I think a couple of years ago with Gino. Oh, the pressure's just unreal.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't even get myself to do it. Even if I wanted, I'm like, no, there's so many things that could go wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Do you want to repeat the questions or want me to go from there?
Oh, you could just, yeah. I'll go ahead and repeat the question.
Right, go on.
I'll
Sweet.
get it there. So when it comes to the different aspects of breeding, and when you're first getting started, I know for me it was really hard to just pick a few morphs that I was really interested in too. There's so many different lines of snow and albino and things like that. So for people who are getting started into the hobby, what is some advice that you could give to people that they're just overwhelmed with the options and really just want to get into a few things and really find out what they're passionate about?
Oh, I think it all goes down to what they want. So go for a look you want to, so go for a look. Let's say you want to go for white animals, white snows maybe. Go for the albi. Go for that certain look you want. I think you should always have a project in mind with any morph you buy. I don't think you should just buy to produce. Basically, it is very overwhelming. It's like there's no rush. Breeders are breeding every year. You will be able to pick up the animal you want, certain morph you want, anytime you want. It doesn't have to be now, next week, next month. Sit back, relax.
Right.
See what you want to produce. Get an idea of what you actually want to, like what you want to see in your animals, and go for that. Don't just jump in. Never just jump in. Like I said, when I wanted to do Leos, I wanted the full white, full black, and I wanted to go for size on the on both of them. That was my goal. Breeding on the years, going on 2-3 years, it changes, and then you get more projects, you get more ideas, you get it manifests itself. I mean, it just grows and grows and grows. But for someone who's first starting off, it is very very overwhelming. All the hats, the morphs, the traits. It's one you definitely have to kind of sit back and just take a breather, research.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest kind of lies that we tell ourselves as breeders. It's like there's not enough time. I'm just talking about this to someone else. There's always this sense of rushing to get something, but there's no rush to get into anything, and really just take your time and do research. It's probably the better thing to do more research than to go and jump into something that you're not ready for.
100%. Otherwise, you're gonna be. Thing with new breeders also, you haven't got the reputation, you haven't got an audience, you haven't got any of this, so you will be stuck with, if you breed a good few females, 20, 30, 40 Leos. It's what you got to put in your mind. I definitely think go slow and steady at first, pick your projects very carefully, and go off of that. Always have that image in your mind of what you want to do, what you want to achieve with the projects you're doing.
Definitely. And reputation just you can't rush that. It takes time to start getting customers and start having people understand what you're doing and having a great reputation. You can't, even if you get like 1,000 followers in a day with social media, it's still not getting that reputation.
No, it does not matter. Followers, I've got a very large following on a few platforms. It does not matter how many followers you've got. It is all down to reputation and what you do. A lot of the time I say when you post pictures and videos, that will speak to the audience more than you ever can. The quality of your animals, what they're seeing on your projects, that will speak more to the audience than any words that you can say.
1,000%. I totally agree with that. The quality should speak for itself with so many other things. Yeah, and I think your quality speaks for what you've done and all the amazing hard work that you put in over the years.
Thank you very much. That's why I keep Eco Geckos to Eco Geckos and not Jay. Do you know what I mean? I like this. It's for the geckos. That's all it is. You don't really hear about me or anything I do. Do you know what I mean? Maybe once in a blue moon, I'll just I'll post something about myself, but that's more if it's to do with Eco Geckos. But with all my videos, all my photos, it's quality animals. I want to show off to you guys. You know what I mean?
Right. And even with the Black Knights, you didn't necessarily know how big of a success it was going to be when you got into it. You loved something and you put the time and the effort into it, and it worked out. And I know for me, it's worked out for me some of the more with Albie Snows, and something I really like, not something that a lot of people have, but I enjoy it. And the Ghost is another one. It's such a unique look that a lot of people don't work with, and it's what I enjoy, and that's what I work with.
I'm in love with the Albie Snows. I absolutely love them. They are one of the top animals for me. I haven't got any in my collection, but they're...
You gotta get some soon, man.
I will have to, 100%. I'll have to import some, because I don't think there's a single Albie Snow in the UK. So it will definitely be a thing I'll have to do in the future.
Yeah.
But, it comes to hard work. You see, like I said, you'll see quality in the animals, and that is down to dedication, hard work, and just, it doesn't matter about, time, money. If it's there, it's there. You know what I mean? If you've got that, you've got that.
100%. Exactly. Yeah. And that's what I see in you. And it's really awesome to get you on the show and really talk about some of the things that just drive you to produce some of the things that you're working with. So super, super glad to get you on the show today and talk about these things.
No, I'm very grateful for the invite, Evan. Very grateful.
Awesome. Well, before we let you off for the show, we always do some quick round deep questions. So are you up for that, to do that fast round questions?
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
Awesome. So are you a morning or a night person?
Oh, night. Okay.
Coffee or tea?
I'm British, so it's got to be tea, but I love a Costa coffee.
Nice. Okay. So in terms of where you're at, do you like the northern side of the UK or the southern side of the UK?
South, all the way down south.
Okay. Nice. When it comes to leopard geckos, what is your favorite thing? Would you rather have black or white? I think I know your answer, but
it's got to be black. It's got to be black.
Nice. Are you a TV person or a book person?
It's got to be TV, yeah.
Okay. Are you a Android or iPhone?
iPhone.
Okay. When it comes to, I'm guessing you're a football fan?
Nope.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I'm not a big sportsman.
Wow. Okay. I was going to ask you your favorite Premier League team.
I don't have one.
That's so unique. Are you not a sports guy at all?
Not really. I enjoy watching, if there's a big fight in boxing on UFC, I enjoy that. But if you ask me about the competitors, I ain't got a clue. I'm not into it.
Nice. Okay. Are you a main meal guy? Do you like the entree or do you like the dessert better?
Oh, the main meal. I don't even eat
Okay.
desserts.
Oh man, you're going rogue. Nice. And when it comes to your favorite out of any reptile, what is your favorite reptile morph of all time?
Morph.
Yeah.
Morph. It's definitely a cross between the Black Knight and Panda. It's them two that are just. If I had to choose one, the one that excites me more now is Panda.
Got it.
Yeah. You don't know what you're going to hatch with that.
Right. That's awesome. Well, Jay, I appreciate you again for coming onto the podcast. For people who want to learn more about you, if they already don't know who Eco Gecko is, how could they get in contact with you and look more into your social media and things like that?
Facebook or Instagram. I do my best to try and reply to everyone daily, but I do get a lot of traffic there. I am one guy. I don't have anyone that, I don't employ anyone or anything like that. So all my messages are done by me. And obviously with all those followers, I do get quite a bit of traffic. I will get back to anyone, but if you want to get hold of me, Instagram or Facebook.
Nice. Well, dude, this was amazing. We got to do this again sometime, and I really appreciate you coming on to the podcast.
I would absolutely love to, Evan, mate.
Awesome. Have a good one.
All right, sweet as, brother.
And that's going to wrap us up for this episode of the podcast. Really appreciate all of you guys listening today, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. As you guys know, at the end of each and every episode, I do my one big thing. And yeah, again, this was a great episode, and I really appreciate Jay for coming on. And I think my one big thing, and one of the biggest things that I really learned from him, and just from the things that he was saying, was really how much attention he paid to the things that he was working with. Jay is really meticulous with his plans and really was extremely detailed in how he explained how he picked certain Black Knights over others, and especially when it comes to quality and just the attention to detail when it comes to waiting for that exact female and that exact male. I feel like that's something that's so rare, and it's something I know I struggle with. Sometimes I see something that I really like and I just go ahead and jump on it, kind of like an impulse buy, and sometimes that's not always the best purchase for my projects and things like that. So really how much he paid attention to that, and how detailed he was with his plans, and how much planning he really did for some of these projects, I think that really stood out to me, and that's going to be my one big thing for this episode of the podcast. I want to thank everyone for joining us on yet another episode of the Strength in Leos podcast. Don't forget to share with a friend, rate our podcast, and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Strength in Leos. And last but not least, tune in next time for our next episode on Spotify, iTunes, Google Music, and of course, YouTube. This is your host, Evan Woolridge, signing off. Continue to grow in knowledge and share the strength in Leos.